So Amy, tell us about the philosophy of learning at the Think Academy.
So we believe that the Think Academy is in service of executing our overall strategy. And in essence, we want to make learning contagious. We want to make it essential. It is part of what we do and how we transform the culture. So it came about almost 4 years ago now as an extension of trying to take the company from a hardware, software services organization to one that was much more of a digital and now a cognitive computing company. So in order to do that, you need to have a lot of learning going on across all sorts of different business units that are shifting and changing their purpose, and they're integrating and they're evolving. So that leads a lot of questions for employees to get answered. And we were there to be the central point of contact where they would go, find out about the company's strategy, and then leave Think Academy to learn the skills that would be necessary to transform their personal lives and their personal work.
How is the Think Academy changing the culture at IBM, and how have you heard from employees that it's changing their personal lives and their careers?
So I think the purpose that it served has been to get people who are in 170 different countries to understand why we are transforming the business, why we are divesting from some parts and we are investing in growth areas like cloud computing, and why that's important to them individually. So it's been a means by which they could have a common language to be able to speak about that transformation, but not so much in a doctrinaire way as in a strategic way. And why does this make sense? And then the way that we've changed their lives, we've asked them to participate in the experience. So for example, we've been moving and doing a lot of work around the Internet of Things. We asked employees to go take a picture of something that was representative of the Internet of Things in their geographies. So they took pictures of Fitbits, they took pictures of trains, they took pictures of all sorts of different things. And then they submitted them and we had a photo contest. And I mean, you may say that's kind of fun and playful, but it really made it meaningful because we had them explain why Internet of Things was changing the way that they worked, the way that they lived, the way that their clients worked, and the way the clients lived. So that kind of personalization of an abstract concept, like a company strategy, to what does that mean for me in my day-to-day life and our clients in their day-to-day life, that's how we've changed the culture, by taking the abstract and the strategic and making it real on a personal level and from the perspective of the career skills that they were going to need to have. So no surprises.
Well, and this is a huge undertaking, the purpose of the Think Academy. That is a tremendous mission that you have, not only geographically, but philosophically. So what are you learning from implementing such a program?
I think we learned a great deal. Many of the things that we've heard at this conference apply here. So for example, people need to consume where they're working, how they're working in ways that are very small and build on each other. So you can't give a 2-hour course that's all video driven. No one's going to stick around and listen to that whole thing. Some people will. Developers will do that. But, you know, especially people in sales roles. So you have to right size the content and make it accessible. So we've built a mobile app for doing that. I think the second thing, this is again what we've heard at the conference, that it needs to be supported by the business. So it's not enough for corporate to say, well, we'd like you to learn these things. We have to make that something that is endorsed, supported, and integrated into the strategy of a particular business unit. And we work very closely with the leaders of those business units to make sure that the way that we're framing the learning is exactly the way that they want to be helping their employees to run the business.
And we've spoken to you before about what learning is to you, and people can refer to that wonderful interview with you. But I'm curious, in light of all that you've been doing since then, what is learning to you now? And in light of implementing such a wide-ranging program, what is learning to you?
I think it's an ongoing evolution of your skills and your roles, and the role of Think Academy itself is evolving too. So we have an opportunity to really emphasize what it is that the company is doing. And so for me, learning is about what is next, what is my next role in work, what is my next strategy as part of a business that's changing. And I think learning is about putting larger concepts into a very personal context that's meaningful.
And you mentioned just a moment ago, for instance, creating an app to assist employees in learning what they need to learn and accessing what they need to access. What are some ways that you see new media and social platforms and things of that nature supporting learning in your environment?
Well, I think, and this was mentioned in one of the panels as well, with the influx of so many people who are digital natives, if you want to call them that, I won't use the M word, but the social element is just a natural way of extending a conversation, that we're really in conversation, and that the boundaries between what you care about and how you learn in your off hours and in your on hours really blur between the two. So as people learn and they bring in their habits of social consumption and sharing to the workplace, this becomes, you know, essential for the way that we teach. We can't have the way that you interact with people when you're teaching and the way that you interact with people when you're not. It really has to flow one to the other to feel organic. And I think that's part of the social element of what we're doing, and getting people to be the teachers. So essentially making learning contagious, that they want to share what they've learned in a way that we've provided them the tools for doing it, you know, through social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, that kind of thing. But also in that mode that things are designed to be shared. Be that very much more graphical, be that small video clips, that sort of thing. So it affects the content and it affects the form factor for how you do and sharing of that content.
Are there any specific creative tips that you would have for getting your employees to share what they're learning?
I think, well, our experience has been that making contests, people love contests. They love to have things be gamified. They like to be on the leaderboard. You know, they like to test their knowledge. And we found that when, you know, people have to go back to get a better score, they do. They don't say, oh, well, I didn't do well in that contest. They come back and say, well, I'm going to do better. And it's really, it's got that sort of playful competitiveness that's very productive, we think.